Now on CoastTV News.
Custody concerns after a death at a private detention center in Florida. The action underway in Delaware related to these types of facilities.
Zero emissions clash the bipartisan move in Delaware to dial back the mandate of electric vehicle sales.
Weathering future flooding, where Lewis plans to get millions of dollars in dealing with the effects from natural disasters.
A very warm Friday on the way for Delmarva as temperatures soar into the 80s. Another round of 80s on Saturday, then showers start on Sunday with cooler conditions. I'll track it on FutureCast coming up next.
This is CoastTV News Today.
And it is Friday, May 2nd, 2025. Good morning, I'm Matt Pensick.
Good morning, I'm Lisa Weber. Thank you for joining us for our 5 o'clock hour.
First weekend of May.
Yes.
Just plenty of activities locally and nationally going on.
Absolutely, and yesterday was a beautiful afternoon.
I
was outside after work. You said you were outside
I
after work.
was kayaking yesterday. Oh, it was
That
spectacular.
is beautiful. Well, Bob kind of told us yesterday that today we'll feel back to those summer temperatures we originally had.
I like that.
I will be outside again today. Good morning, Bob.
Good morning, Elisa. Good morning, Matt and Delmarva. We are looking at a warm day. Yes, we had the cool down yesterday, but the warmth is back today. And look at this mild start. Temperatures in the 60s to 70 in Redden, 70 in Millsboro, Del Mar, and Laurel. So very mild out the door, 69 in Bethany Beach, even 70 in Rehoboth. As we do have a southwesterly breeze right now, continuing to bring in some warm air. We're looking at partly cloudy skies, nothing in the way of rain this morning as we're watching a warm front lifting through Delmarva. And as it does that, it's bringing in this very warm and almost muggy southwesterly flow. It's going to feel more like June today instead of the beginning of May. As we're looking at FutureCast, we're looking at partly cloudy skies this morning. Temperatures in the 60s and quickly into the 70s. By noon, already lower 80s away from the coast, but even some coastal areas like Lewis and Rehoboth in the 80s, but a little cooler down the coast. And then inland around 85 to 86 degrees mid-afternoon. We could see an isolated shower or thunderstorm with these very warm conditions into the afternoon and into the evening hours, but very, very isolated. Otherwise, it's dry and it's warm with 80s on the way. And another warm day on Saturday. Then we're going to start to see some rain building in Sunday, and it's going to stick around for a few days. I'll tell you why a little bit later in the newscast.
All right, thank you, Bob. And our top story this hour is we're going to get a live look here at Delaware's capital city of Dover. There is an attempt in the General Assembly to ban private detention facilities in the state. On Thursday, House Bill 151 was introduced. Democratic State Rep Claire Snyder Hall of Rehoboth Beach is a co-sponsor, and that bill is now under review in the Judiciary Committee.
And that Delaware bill comes 1 week after a Haitian woman died while in federal custody at a privately owned detention center in South Florida. Earlier this year, a notice of expedited removal was issued for her by U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement. On April 25th, 44-year-old Marie Ange Blyes died at the Broward Transitional Center. She was a Haitian national who entered the U.S. at an unknown date. After being held in several other locations, Blyes was taken to that facility in Pompano Beach on April 5th. And happening now, Senate Republican leaders in Delaware are backing Governor Matt Meyer's opposition to Delaware's electric vehicle mandate. Meyer has reportedly said he plans to scrap the rule, which was adopted under the previous Carney administration. It would require 43% of new cars sold in the state by 2027 to be zero emission. In response, Senate Republican Whip Brian Pettyjohn has circulated an updated bill to block that mandate.
In Lewis, city officials are proposing what is called a resiliency fund. Here's what that means. It is money for preventing and reacting to natural disasters, and today is the last day for people to submit comments about this. The city wants to make money or take money from existing sources like property taxes and parking to set aside for fixing infrastructure and responding to storm damage. They want to build a fund of $3 to $5 million over the next 5 to 7 years. We went to Lewis to learn what people there think about this fund, and here is what one woman told us.
If we want to still have a wonderful area, a wonderful earth, period, we need to do something about it, take better care.
And people can submit their comments on the city's website until 4 p.m. today.
And here's what we don't know: if Lewis will raise taxes elsewhere to raise more money for this resiliency fund. We do know they want more money to come from existing resources, such as percentage of the gross rental tax receipt and lodging fees, and a part of it from the Chesapeake Utilities, who runs natural gas in Lewis, and their franchise fee.
A Delaware bill pushing to keep red dye 40 out of schools. It's cleared one legislative hurdle. Senate Bill 69 would ban foods and drinks with the synthetic dye from being sold during the school day in public and charter schools. It passed the state Senate, now heads to the House. Red dye 40 is found in products like cereal, popsicles, chips, dairy products, and more. That bill has been assigned to the House Education Committee.
Developing news, we are learning more details about an officer-involved shooting on Thursday in Milton. According to Delaware State Police, it happened here on West Springside Drive. Authorities say they tried to stop a suspected impaired driver who didn't pull over, but instead started approaching officers with a knife. Two troopers fired their guns, shooting the man. He was given first aid, but then died at the scene, and we're awaiting more details from State Police.
Following up on a story that we brought to you yesterday, there's increased patrols across Maryland this weekend. Maryland State Police say troopers will focus on impaired and aggressive driving during Cinco de Mayo weekend. On the Eastern Shore, troopers from Berlin, Easton, Princess Anne, and Salisbury Barracks will be posted along routes 13, 50, 404, and 413.
We are now taking a live look at Washington, D.C. Business leaders are sounding the alarm over President Trump's tariffs as more are set to kick in on Saturday. The president softened some of those auto tariffs earlier this week, but analysts say the overall impact of the on-again, off-again tariffs will take a toll.
Today we get another check on the overall health of the economy. That's when the April jobs report is released. NBC's Bianca Fascini shows us what we can expect.
Have prom.
Business leaders from across the country sounding the alarm over President Trump's tariffs.
Everything that is imported from another country. Adding anywhere from 10 to 20% on every one of our invoices.
Tariffs are just... In a letter to the administration, Suzanne Clark, CEO of the Chamber of Commerce, warns many small businesses will suffer irreparable harm if exclusions aren't made for them. Though it's not just small businesses that are feeling the heat.
The demand is way down. Now, a lot of that is, I think, the consumer reaction to the tariffs.
While the panic spreads as more tariffs are set to go into effect Saturday, the message from the president is still optimistic. In an address Thursday night, he told college graduates at the University of Alabama that the tariffs are working as intended.
It's making us very rich, and you'll be seeing the results pretty soon, sooner than most people think.
However, members of his own party acknowledge the ripple effects the tariffs are having on the economy, like stocks initially taking a tumble earlier this week, after data revealed the economy contracted in the first quarter of the year.
Some of this is clearly a reaction to the uncertainty on taxes and trade. I mean, it's indisputable. So we got to work on it.
Meanwhile, Trump blamed what he called the Biden overhang for the market reaction, though Wall Street did eventually recover those losses. Now, all eyes are on Friday's monthly jobs report, which could offer clues on where the economy is headed. In Washington, Bianca Fascini, NBC News.
We're just getting started in this hour of Coast TV News today.
Coming up, BB Mystery Man. You know who this is? Why the Museum of Chincoteague is asking the public for help in identifying him.
Also, Tidal Atlantic Agreement will tell you what changes to expect as Tidal Health expands its reach.
And BB Lewis campus closure, why the parking area there will be unavailable all weekend. All that and more as Coast TV News Today continues.
It is exactly 5:11 on this Friday morning. A mild 170 in Milford to start out. And boy, we've got mild temperatures all over the place, the 60s and 70s. We're looking at partly cloudy skies right now. Nothing in the way of precipitation. A warm front is lifting to the north, so that will usher in summer-like warmth as we go through the day. Can't rule out an isolated shower or thunderstorm as we go later in the day. But look at these temperatures out the door. Upper 60s to lower 70s. So almost a summer-like morning as the winds are light now out of the southwest, but they'll be picking up as we go through time. Ferry riding forecast looking really good. A mix of sun and clouds, temperatures warming through the 70s. Southwesterly winds up to about 15 miles per hour or so this morning, gusting over 20 this afternoon, but very pleasant conditions heading up to Cape May.
Happening tonight in Lewis, BB Healthcare's parking garage at the main entrance at the Margaret H. Rollins Lewis campus is going to be closed. This is for cleaning over the weekend. According to BB, parking can be found in the exterior lots around the Lewis campus, and the parking garage is expected to reopen by Monday, May 5th.
We have a road closure in Georgetown to tell you about. According to DelDOT, it should have gone into effect about 10 minutes ago. On your screen now is Wood Branch Road, which will close not the full part of the road, but just part of it. And Sussex Pines Road and Cedar Lane, that work is expected to last through Thursday, May 8th, and is related to the overall work with the Delmarva Central Railroad. Detours will be in place for both directions.
Amusement park fans may need to hurry and get their final thrills at Six Flags America in Bowie, Maryland. The amusement park is closing for good at the end of the season. Hurricane Harbor will also close. The parent company of Six Flags says the roughly 500-acre property will be marked for redevelopment. Park first opened as a wildlife preserve in 1974, but later became Six Flags America in 1999. The park's final day will be in early November.
Apple CEO Tim Cook says tariffs could cost his company $900 million this quarter. Most iPhones are produced in China, which has been highly targeted by President Donald Trump's tariff policies. But the Trump administration announced in April that smartphones were exempt from reciprocal tariffs on Chinese imports. That would reduce the total tariff rate from at least 145% to a minimum of 20%.
Driverless semi-trucks are making their way on highways in Texas. Autonomous trucking firm Aurora announced it launched commercial service in that state. The self-driving trucks are doing regular long-haul routes between Dallas and Houston, and the semis have computers and sensors that can see for more than 400 football fields.
We're looking at calm conditions on our Irish Eyes Cam and Lewis right now. A few clouds out there, a very mild start, a taste of summer today and into the weekend with highs in the 80s both today and tomorrow. A cooler Sunday with showers developing, and those showers stick around into next week. I'll track it all on Futurecast and my full forecast in 2 minutes. Stay tuned.
Time is 5:16, and we are getting a live look at the early morning scene along the canal in Lewis. And Bob, we are getting ready for another warm day. What a great way to start the weekend.
And the month of May, right? Boy, May arrives, Matt, and boom, here we are right into the summer mode. Well, yesterday it was a little cooler, but we are really going to warm things up in a big way. Today and tomorrow, it's going to have that summer feel with mid-80s inland, 70s at the coast, maybe an afternoon and evening shower or storm, but, just keep an eye to the sky, nothing widespread. Saturday starts warm with 80s with sun and clouds, and then Sunday, we're going to see some showers building in, and I think they're going to stay around for a while as we have an isolated chance of a shower or storm today. But look at Sunday through Tuesday, widely scattered to widespread. We're going to see a cutoff low back to our west. That basically means it's going to keep bringing in rain for 3 days. So that's actually good news as far as the fire danger goes and the dry conditions. Then it looks like it does start to dry out by the middle part of next week. But out the door, this is fantastic. 70 in Rehoboth, Millsboro, 70 in Gumboro, 68 in Salisbury, 69 in Georgetown, 70 in Bridgeville right now as we have a southwesterly breeze, and that will be with us the next couple of days, continuing to bring in that warm air. It's partly cloudy right now, nothing in the way of rain. We did see a warm front lift through Sussex County and a good chunk of Delmarva earlier. That continues to lift to the north, and that is ushering in that summer-like air from the south. We're seeing a few storms across Virginia and West Virginia right now. So in this air mass into the afternoon with the heating, we could spark off an isolated shower or storm. Here's Futurecast this morning at 6:30. We're very warm into the 60s and 70s and mid-morning already into into the mid-70s, inland 60s and 70s at the coast. By lunchtime, be outside. Make sure you have your sunscreen. Stay hydrated with water, too. 82 in Berlin, 83 in Georgetown, Salisbury, 81. With cooler 60s and 70s at the beaches. And we're looking at very warm conditions by 3:30. 86 in Salisbury, Georgetown, and Millsboro. Lewis, 87. Wow, but a little cooler from Dewey Beach down to Fenwick Island. And there's that chance of an isolated shower or storm as we go into the evening. Otherwise, looking great for your Friday evening plans. Dress for summer. Very mild overnight. By Saturday morning, much like this morning, 60s and low 70s. Another warm day on Saturday. By the afternoon, we're into the mid-80s once again. Cooler conditions at the beaches and breezy conditions as well. As we'll see those winds over 25 miles per hour times today. Very breezy. As we go into this evening, the winds do calm down a little bit. Then moving into Saturday, we're looking at breezy conditions once again. Winds at least 25, maybe up to 30 miles per hour. Now, about that rain, we're looking at what's called a cutoff low, an area of low pressure cut off from the jet stream that will be spinning to our west Sunday through Tuesday, and that will rotate in rounds of rain, some showers, and some thunderstorms too. Now, Saturday, I think we're dry, but then later Saturday night into Sunday, that's when the rain starts to pick up. We're going to see this southeasterly flow. It's not going to be raining all the time, but we'll be seeing periods of rain, maybe some rumbles of thunder right through very early Wednesday. Then the system finally moves away. I think we're picking up at least 0.8 of an inch of rain, maybe an inch, maybe a little more, but definitely a beneficial rain. Paul Davis 7-day forecast, 85 today, 86 on Saturday, and very mild at night too. And then by Sunday, 77 with showers. It looks like a wet Cinco de Mayo. On Monday, 73, and still kind of rainy into Tuesday, mid-70s, drying out by Wednesday with upper 70s, and then mid-70s and mostly cloudy by Thursday. And congratulations to Rose Sterling from Bridgeville. She has a brand new umbrella from Paul Davis Restoration and Home Remodeling and Coast TV.
Thank you, Bob. Tidal Health is adding another hospital to its roster. Leaders signed an official agreement to merge with Atlantic General Hospital in Berlin. Officials say that partnership will expand services at Atlantic General through increased funding and updated equipment. Tidal Health CEO says all patients will be transferred over electronically.
We want care close to home, and we want to figure out the services that people need in the Atlantic General service area. We want to add physicians, add capabilities. If people need surgery, do more operations here on this campus.
AGH will be renamed Tidal Health Atlantic once that transition is complete, and officials say they expect that to take around 10 months.
We have a look for you of the area right outside the Wilmington Airport, which is actually in Newcastle, Delaware. And some news coming from the airline that flies into and out of there. You now can fly directly from Delaware's largest city to Music City. Avelo Airlines is adding nonstop service from Wilmington to Nashville's International Airport. There will be flights on this route weekly on Thursdays and Sundays, with fares starting at $39.
Food, shopping, fast cars, and fancy hats. It's all happening this weekend, so stay with us for your cool things to do.
The Museum of Chincoteague Island is asking for the public's help with identifying a portrait. It was found at the Beebe Ranch in the attic. Historians believe that man was named Drummond Hill and most likely pictured around 1880. Hills were a prominent family with members still on the island today.
They made a living for themselves here on the island and working in the seafood trade and transporting seafood. But if you go back to the original Hills that came on the island, they were shipwreck survivors. So you really can go back with this story and learn a whole bunch about the Eastern Shore and living on a barrier island.
The Chincoteague Island Museum says the grand opening of the Beebe Ranch will be June 28th, and its plans to display that portrait for guests to guess who Drummond Hill was.
What is often called the most exciting 2 minutes in sports? Just one day away, the 151st running of the Kentucky Derby and the all-day celebration happening live Saturday. Our coverage starts at 2:30 right here on Coast TV.
Matt, I think after people see Bob's forecast for today and tomorrow, if they weren't planning on going to the beach, they might decide to.
Yeah, you're talking excellent beach weather
Absolutely.
before Memorial Day, these temperatures, Bob?
Yeah.
What's that about?
I'm sensing a change in plans.
Yes.
Like somebody saying, hey, did you see the forecast?
Yeah.
It's going to feel like summer the next 2 days at the beaches. And yes, looking fantastic out there. Could see some whitecaps, though. So boaters, Atlantic Ocean through Little Assiniboine Bay, small craft advisory through 10 p.m. this evening. Those winds will be picking up. Fenwick Island and Ocean City, you're into the 70s today. Watch for a spotty evening shower or thunderstorm, and the UV index is high. Make sure you have that higher SPF sunscreen. Lewis, lower 80s for you, lower 80s into Rehoboth as well. Beautiful conditions. On the bay side, you'll be warming through the 70s into the lower 80s in Cambridge today. A little cooler in Crisfield with upper 70s and maybe a stray storm. Still summer-like Saturday, but then the showers build in beginning Sunday. More on that coming up in the next half hour.
Well, the quiet season on the coast is over. May is here, and the weekends are filling up fast.
Yeah, they sure are. And Coast TV's Christina DeRobertis has your lineup of cool things to do.
You can think of this weekend as kind of your soft launch into summer. There's no pressure, it's only just May, but there's a lot happening. And that's including the Rehoboth Dewey Sidewalk Sale. It's back for its 42nd year, all weekend long from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. with deals across downtown Rehoboth, Dewey, and Route 1. In Lewis, classic British cars will be taking over the ferry terminal on Saturday at 11 a.m. for the British Motor Car Show. Coast TV anchor Charlie Sakaitis and I will be judging the event. Over at Shellville in Rehoboth on Saturday, the Southern Delaware Wine, Food, and Music Festival. They're pouring up and serving food for a good cause. It's also Heritage Day at the Nanticoke Indian Center Saturday, a free event with dancing, storytelling, and native food in Millsboro. And if you're feeling festive, head to the riding arena at Southern Delaware Therapeutic Riding for Derby Day, complete with mint juleps, a hat contest, and a watch party for the Kentucky Derby. Ticket sales from this event will directly support the therapeutic riding program. And don't forget, you can watch this year's Kentucky Derby right here on Coast TV. Coverage begins Saturday at 2:30 p.m. For event details, tickets, and more, just head over to coasttv.com and click on Cool Things to Do.
Now on Coast TV News.
Detention center controversy. After a death at a private facility in Florida, the Delaware General Assembly now taking on these areas used by ICE.
Reversing auto rules, that could be the result for Delaware's plans to drive sales of electric vehicles.
Ditching red dye. Delaware lawmakers target the food coloring chemical found in foods and drinks sold in schools.
A very warm Friday on the way for Delmarva as temperatures soar into the 80s. Another round of 80s on Saturday, then showers start on Sunday with cooler conditions. I'll track it on Futurecast coming up next.
This is Coast TV News Today.
May 2nd, 2025. Good morning, everybody. I'm Matt Pensick. Good morning, Elisa.
Good morning, Matt. Good morning. I'm Elisa Weber. Thank you for joining us.
And the time is 5:31. The weekends just sound better when we talk about temperatures in the 70s and 80s.
Absolutely. When we clock out of work today, it could be 80 degrees outside.
So
it's pretty.
You're booking.
Oh, absolutely. We have to get all this warm weather, enjoy it all. And Bob, I think if people weren't going to go to the beach this weekend, they might want to change their plans now.
I think there's a lot of folks out there saying maybe we should go to the beach this weekend and be by the water because it's going to be into the 80s. I think we're in the 80s late this morning because look where we're starting. Upper 60s to around 70 in Laurel, Seaford, Redden, Millsboro, 69 in Dagsboro. Upper 60s, Bethany Beach, Indian River Inlet. A little cooler Ocean City at 61. There is a southwesterly breeze, and that will pick up through the day. We're looking at partly cloudy skies. It's dry out there right now, and really the majority of the day will be dry. A warm front lifting to the north. There are a few showers and storms back to the west, and with the heating of the day, we could see an isolated shower or storm, but it is mild with a mix of sun and clouds by mid-morning, mid-70s inland, and then 60s and 70s at the coast, and by noon, already well into the low 80s inland areas, cooler at the beaches. Mid-afternoon, 86 Georgetown and Millsboro, 85 in Delmar. A little bit of relief along the coast with temperatures in the 70s and 80s there. And you can see these isolated showers, a pop-up thunderstorm possible as we go into the evening hours. Keep that in mind for your plans. For the kiddos, no worries about rain this morning. Just dress for summer. Mild and dry off to school, 69, and heading home, beautiful, warm and breezy. They're going to be wanting to get out of school permanently with this weather, 83 degrees heading home.
Our top story this half hour, Senate Republican leaders in Delaware are backing Governor Matt Meyer's opposition to Delaware's electric vehicle mandate. Meyer has reportedly said he plans to scrap the rule, which was adopted under the previous Carney administration. It would require 43% of new cars sold in the state by 2027 to be zero emission. In response, Senate Republican Whip Brian Pettyjohn has circulated an updated bill to block that mandate.
And we have developing news out of Delaware. So we get a live look now at Delaware's capital city of Dover. There is an attempt in the General Assembly to ban private detention facilities in the state. On Thursday, House Bill 151 was introduced. Democratic State Rep Claire Snyder Hall of Rehoboth Beach is a co-sponsor, and the bill is now under review in the Judiciary Committee.
And this Delaware bill comes 1 week after a Haitian woman died while in federal custody at a privately owned detention center in South Florida. Earlier this year, a notice of expedited removal was issued for her by U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement. And on April 25th, 44-year-old Marie Ange Blyes died at the Broward Transitional Center in Pompano Beach. She was a Haitian national who entered the U.S. at an unknown date. And after being held in several other locations, Blyes was taken to that facility on April 5th.
A Delaware bill pushing to keep red dye 40 out of schools has cleared one legislative hurdle. Senate Bill 69 would ban foods and drinks with the synthetic dye from being sold during the school day in public and charter schools. It passed the state Senate, now heads to the House. Red dye 40 is found in products like cereal, popsicle chips, dairy products, and more. The bill has been assigned to the House Education Committee.
In order to protect its environment, Lewis is proposing what's called a resiliency fund to be used to both prevent and react to natural disasters. Today is the last day to submit comments on that topic, and the city wants to take money from existing sources like property taxes and parking revenue and specifically set them aside for fixing infrastructure and responding to storm damage. Lewis says they want to build a fund of $3 to $5 million in the next 5 to 7 years, and locals can submit your comments on the city's website until 4 p.m. today.
Don't know if Lewis is looking to raise taxes elsewhere for more money. We do know they want some of the money to come from existing areas, such as a percentage of the gross rental tax receipts and lodging fees, and coming from Chesapeake Utilities franchise fee. Chesapeake operates natural gas in Lewis.
President Trump delivered the commencement address to the University of Alabama class of 2025 Thursday evening in Tuscaloosa. This was the president's first address to graduates in his second term. In his speech to more than 6,000 graduates, the president weaving politics throughout his message while promising the class of 2025 a bright tomorrow and telling the graduates that they have the opportunity to be the greatest generation in the history of our country.
Like many generations before you, you're graduating at an exciting time for our nation, a period of both extraordinary change and incredible potential and what will be unbelievable growth. You're going to see that very soon. You're going to see it starting very, very soon.
President Trump is also expected to deliver the commencement address at West Point later this month. And a few hours before the president took the stage, several protests formed against the event. The Tide Against Trump rally was hosted by the University of Alabama College Democrats at Snow Hinton Park. The group cited grievances with the Trump administration, as well as the detainment of Alabama student last month.
Now taking a live look at Washington, D.C., despite President Trump's stance that tariffs will benefit the United States, higher prices are being seen at several retail outlets. That's because the tariff exemption for Chinese imports is ending this morning.
And it's probably kept the total in your online shopping cart down, even as the U.S.-China trade war heats up. Amy Kiley shows us the impact of today's change.
Even very, very cheap items are now being tariffed.
The era of Americans buying ultra-cheap products from China might be waning. As of this morning, a tariff loophole is closed for Chinese imports worth $800 or less. That's due to executive action from President Donald Trump last month.
It's a big scam going on against our country.
Here are the new tariffs for Chinese imports in the affected price range. An item sent via the postal system carries a 120% duty or a $100 fee. On June 1st, the flat cost option rises to $200. An item shipped another way likely faces Trump's 145% tariff hike.
Maybe the children will have $2 instead of $30, you know? And maybe the $2 will cost a couple of bucks more than they would normally.
Chinese e-commerce giants Shein and Temu say they raised prices a week ago to prepare for the loophole's end. Temu's website uses the label local warehouse for items it says aren't subject to duties. Amazon says it considered showing how tariffs affect prices on its low-cost Amazon Haul site. After a clash with the White House, it's backing off that idea, but not backing off potential price hikes.
When you have a low margin business, you don't have as much wiggle room to deal with tariffs, and you have to pass that on to consumers more.
I'm Amy Kiley reporting.
Got a lot more news to get to. Don't go anywhere.
Coming up, preparing little ones to learn. We'll tell you when you can register your child in Milford.
Also, softball shutout. We have Lake Forest upping their win streak to 13 games after an impressive win at Smyrna.
And Bike More, Bike Safely. We'll tell you how Maryland and Delaware are highlighting this initiative all month long. Stay with us on Coast TV News today.
541, a very mild start to our Friday. Spicer Brothers Camp 68 in Salisbury. We're seeing some clouds and some blue skies, partly to mostly cloudy. Nothing in the way of precipitation. Well, a little couple of green blips, but I don't think that's hitting the ground. We're looking at very mild conditions with a warm front lifting to the north. That will usher in summer-like warmth as we go through the day. Could see an isolated afternoon shower or storm, but look at these temperatures out the door. Upper 60s to lower 70s. Really pleasant conditions with a southwesterly wind. Here's your Drivecast. I gave it the green light out the door. Looking good. Breezy and mild, dry roads. And we're looking at warm and breezy conditions for your PM commute. Maybe you're getting away for the weekend. The weather looks great for that. Coast TV First Alert Weather Phone. It's another way to get your forecast. Sponsored by Brockstead Mandalis Federico.
There will be nighttime closures on the Route 50 drawbridge in Salisbury. According to the Maryland Department of Transportation, work starts tonight, 5 p.m., and it is expected to finish Monday, May 5th around 6 a.m.
Bike More, Bike Safely. That's the focus of an initiative in Maryland and Delaware for the month of May. Both states are encouraging locals to bike to work and to school. And in Maryland, people can learn commuter tips and tricks in a webinar.
Delmarva Sports Network from the Wawa Studios.
Lake Forest softball has dominated this season, and last night they tried to stay unbeaten versus Smyrna. In the fourth, 2-0 Lake, bases loaded for Spartan slugger Bailey Glandon, and she slugs one into left. All 3 runs rumble into score. This blows the game wide open and makes it 5-0 Lake Forest. Same score in the 6th. Riley Bell wants to get in on the action for the Spartans. She takes this pitch and sends it back through the middle to put a runner aboard for Lake, but she wouldn't stay there for long because then Glandon comes back up to the plate and does more damage. She barrels this one up and out in left for a 2-run blast. The Spartans roll to an 8-0 victory on the road. Last night on Into the Trenches, we saw how the offseason work paid off for the Cape Henlopen Vikings, culminating in a victory over Red Lion. Now, let's take a look at how the Vikings prepared for the game ahead. Here's what to expect for Episode 3.
On the next Into the Trenches.
Not a lot of kids get to hang out with their dad as much as I do.
It's difficult, and I would caution people who coach their kids.
I felt a lot of pressure, man. It was our first home game.
Tonight will probably be the most crowded home opener in years. What are you going to do to sacrifice for your brother?
Into the Trenches, a new voyage on the Delmarva Sports Network and DSN Plus, sponsored by Preston Automotive.
That'll do it for sports. Have a great day, everyone.
And coming up tonight on DSN at 5:30, we have Bayside Conference Girls Lacrosse as Ken Island takes on Queen Anne's. Then catch the final score at 10:30 on the DSN Plus app. You get that girls lacrosse game along with these exclusives. 5:30, those same schools, they meet in boys lacrosse. And at 6, North Dorchester faces Cambridge South Dorchester.
Among the movies opening this weekend, one is one of the most talked about films of the past few years. David Daniel has that and more in today's Hollywood Minute.
Some things in this life you can't get back, I reckon.
The Alec Baldwin Western Rust has finally been released, more than 3 years after its cinematographer, Helena Hutchins, was killed in an accident on the set when a live round discharged from the prop gun Baldwin was holding. The film's armorer was convicted of involuntary manslaughter, but a judge tossed the case against Baldwin over an evidence dispute. Rust is now in theaters and on video on demand. Francis Ford Coppola's Megalopolis fizzled in theaters, but the story continues in 2 dimensions. Megalopolis, an original graphic novel from Abrams Comic Arts, expands on the world of the movie. In a press release, Coppola calls it a sibling of the film rather than just an echo. It's due out this fall.
What the hell going on?
Oh, we heard tale of a party.
The party continues for Sinners. Ryan Coogler's box office blockbuster is no longer playing in IMAX, but Warner Brothers, citing overwhelming popular and critical response, is re-releasing it in 9 North American IMAX 70mm theaters May 15th through the 21st. You can see if one of those theaters is near you at imax.com/sinners. In Hollywood, I'm David Daniel.
It's a beautiful start to the day. Tidal Health Cam in Salisbury, some blue skies, some clouds, 68 degrees, a mild start, and a taste of summer today, and that lasts into the weekend with highs in the 80s. A cooler Sunday with showers developing, and those showers hang around into next week. I'll track it all on Featurecast coming up in 2 minutes. Stay tuned.
The time is now 5:48, and we are taking a live look outside at Salisbury this morning. Bob, we see that sun starting to come up a little bit. Yesterday was 60. It was cool outside, which 60 and cool, that's totally fine with me. But today, it's going to be really warm outside.
Yeah, Elisa, we're starting around 70 right now. So if we're starting that warm with a southwest wind, you know it's going to be a very warm day, and that's exactly what we have. Average high now is in the low 70s, around 71 degrees, 85 today. This is inland areas, 86 on Saturday, so beautiful conditions. It does cool down into the 70s beginning Sunday, and that continues into Monday and Tuesday. The reason being is we're going to be seeing showers increasing at that time, and that's not a bad thing as things are beginning to dry out. An isolated chance of a shower later today, but those chances go up Sunday. So the second half of the weekend looking wet, and that continues right through Monday into Tuesday as well. Then the rain will be ending, but I think 3 days is when we're looking at on and off showers across the area. Out the door, it is mild, 60s and 70s, a little cooler in Ocean Pines and Ocean City with low to mid 60s there, but everywhere else is really mild. 70 in Millsboro, Seaford, and Laurel, even 70 on the coast in Rehoboth right now, as we have a southwesterly breeze kicking in, and that'll get a little stronger through the day as we're looking at partly to mostly cloudy skies, seeing a few little blips of green on the radar. Don't think it's raining, and if it does, it might be just a sprinkle. Otherwise, we're looking at a warm front lifting through Delmarva, and that is ushering in that summer-like warmth with the southwesterly flow. We're seeing a few showers across the Tennessee Valley into the mountains, and with the heating of the day, we can't rule out a stray shower or thunderstorm, but it will not wash away your plans into this evening. This morning, it's very mild. By mid-morning on Futurecast, mid-70s inland, 60s and 70s at the coast. And if you're headed to the beaches today, we're looking at 60s and 70s from Fenwick Island to Dewey Beach, around 81 in Rehoboth, and then low to mid-80s inland. In fact, by 3 p.m., I think from Salisbury to the 113 corridor, you're looking at temperatures in the mid-80s. Even Lewis around 87, but then 60s and 70s from Ocean City up to Dewey Beach. I think some of those places will be in the mid to upper 70s. As we go into this evening, that chance of a spotty shower, otherwise mild and breezy through the overnight. Another mild start Saturday morning with upper 60s, and then another day of 80s tomorrow, mid 80s into the afternoon hours. We keep it dry, cooler at the coast as those winds continue to be pretty breezy, gusting up to 25 miles per hour today. So So that'll give you a little relief from the heat inland areas, and still breezy tonight. And then as we go into your Saturday, those winds still gusty, 25 to maybe 30 miles per hour. We'll be looking at an upper level low developing to our west, and that will bring in a southeast flow, and that will bring in periods of rain and showers as we go through the next several days. I think Saturday is dry, but Saturday night into Sunday, we start to see the rain increasing, and then it's on and off rain, and maybe some thunderstorms too as we go through next week, as that upper level low continues to keep the moisture in place, and then that rain finally gets out of here by early Wednesday. I think we're looking at least 3/4 of an inch of rain with this system, maybe over an inch. Paul Davis, 7-day forecast, summerish, summer-like the next 2 days with mid-80s Friday into Saturday. Upper 70s on Sunday, and then Cinco de Mayo looking kind of wet and wet into Tuesday, then drying out by Wednesday and temperatures in the upper 70s.
All right, thank you, Bob. In just a few hours from now, starting at 10 a.m., the 42nd annual Spring Sidewalk Sale starting in Rehoboth Beach. It's hosted by the Rehoboth Beach Dewey Beach Chamber of Commerce. The sale features shops putting out their merchandise on the sidewalk from today until Sunday. Then is rain or shine, and one person living in Rehoboth Beach says the people will come no matter what.
One way or the other, they'll either stop here first and buy, and then hopefully move over to the Art League.
And businesses we spoke with tell us that they hope good weather will boost their sales.
Bikers will take to the streets for the Ocean to Bay Tour in Sussex County, happening today and tomorrow. Almost 2,000 bikers will cycle through Bethany Beach, Fenwick Island, Ocean View, and other Sussex County communities. The Bethany Fenwick Chamber of Commerce says the highest traffic volume can be expected from 8 a.m. to noon on Saturday, May 3rd.
Preparing your little ones to learn. Milford School District is holding open kindergarten registration. The district says children who are 5 years old on or before August 31st can register for the 2025-2026 school year, and parents must bring proof of residency. The event takes place May 6th from 1 p.m. to 6 p.m.
Happening today, Seaford Mansion shines bright. The Seaford Historical Society says it will host a mansion lighting tonight. This comes after receiving newly donated landscaping and outside lighting. And tonight's event will take place at 6:30 at the Ross Mansion. And the time is now 5:54, and we are going to take a look at your coastal pet of the day.
Yeah, today's coastal pet of the day comes to us from the Brandywine Valley SPCA. Check out Raven. That is so Raven. Raven is sweet, loves to play with cat toys, loves treats. If you want to adopt Raven or any other lovable pet, you can visit the Brandywine Valley SPCA.
And we want to highlight all of our local pets, so please send us photos and tell us what makes them so special. You can take a look at your screen.
Yep, there's the QR code, top center. Scan that, get your friends to us, and then watch weekdays from 5 to 7 a.m. to see all the pets we feature.
The time is now 5:57, and we're going to take a look at your forecast.
How about 70-degree temperatures
just this morning
in the morning
yes.
hours?
I know, how about it? I better not hear complaints like, it's so
no
hot.
Complaints.
No complaints. Okay.
Me complain?
No, I know you won't, because you're getting your beach bot on, so that's important. All right, maybe a little TMI there, but we're looking at beautiful conditions out the door, 60s and low 70s. Big warm up today, breezy temperatures by afternoon in the mid 80s. At the coast, a little cooler, and maybe an isolated shower or thunderstorm this evening. Otherwise, looking great into the weekend. Paul Davis 10-day forecast, 86 breezy and muggy on Saturday. Back to 77 Sunday. We're going to see rain building in with that upper level low, and that continues through Cinco de Mayo and into Tuesday, so 3 days of rain, which will be beneficial. We get a break Wednesday and Thursday, and then it looks like maybe more showers by next Friday and a little cooler.
All right, thank you, Bob. And coming up in our next hour, private prisons targeted. The action by Delaware lawmakers after a death in a Florida facility used by ICE. That and more when Coast TV News Today continues.